How has my body composition changed since the last DEXA scan that I had back in July? It's been 4.5 months, and I had another scan done on December 13th. Stay tuned to see what the results are, what the changes are, and how those changes compare to what my Renfo scale at home says. In our appearance driven social system, toxic productivity and diet culture are considered especially heinous. In Denver, Colorado, a dedicated goal getter seeking to crush these vicious lies is the founder of an elite squad known as Heal Thy Spirit. These are her stories. Hello, Tia here with another update. This is episode 41 of Heal Thy Spirit podcast. Excited for this episode because I get to share with you my DEXA scan results. And the first time I didn't really go through exactly what a DEXA scan was. I had someone comment on the prior video, and I will link that up here so that you can go back and watch the first one if you want. But this one does do a comparison of what the results were because I go to the same place. So they kind of stack it side by side to let me know how I'm progressing. So I am going to share my screen with you. Okay, hopefully you can see this, and I'll make it as big as I can. Let me go back to the top. All right, so Live Lean is the place that I do it, and a DEXA scan, I'm just basically going to read this to you, but if you're just listening, then you'll be able to hear. But it's basically saying that a DEXA scan is a 3-component model, and sometimes you might see it as just DXA or DEXA, and I'll put up here what those letters stand for. It's a 3-component model, and it quantifies 3 primary metrics: your bone, your fat, and your lean tissue. And lean tissue is muscle, essentially. So these components are then organized into additional metrics, which are depicted through your report. Total mass is your measured weight, and it's the sum of your fat, muscle, and bone mineral content. Fat tissue is all the fat mass, including items like your brain, bone marrow, etc. Lean tissue is your muscle mass, organs, blood, and stomach contents. And then your bone mineral content generally is 3 to 5% of the total. So your fat-free equals the total of the lean tissue and the bone mineral content. So basically your muscle and bones give your fat-free PAMs. And so here, if you look, as I scroll, it shows the measured date. So it has July 27th of this year was my baseline. And then I just got it done again, December 13th. Now, for the record, I actually got on the scale, and I'll also put my Renfo results here so that you can see the comparison. I'll talk about that at the end. But I weighed in that morning, like I do every morning on my Renfo scale, and I was at 199.6 pounds. I didn't eat anything before I had the DEXA scan done. I did drink during the day, and it's just, I can't really remember, but I'll probably stick it in the edit, the difference between I think I was like 221 on my first DEXA. Well, I know because it says it right here. I was 221 on my first DEXA scan. And that day I had actually weighed on the Renfo scale right before I left the house to go. And I think I was like 220 and some change. So it's pretty close there. I'm not really worried about the difference in that. I'm more concerned with the, how this 202.3 pounds, what that's composed of. And so you'll see here, it says that my total body fat is 41.5%, which is a decrease of 7.2% from my prior reading. And my RIMPO scale actually has me at 40.5%. So it was only off by 1%, which indicates that it is a good tool to use to continue to monitor if you're not in a situation where you can get these, in some places they may be super expensive, depending on where you live. I know that in when I first started, before I found this place, which is way out far from where I live, I was looking at places closer to me, and it was like hundreds of dollars just to get one scan. So that's kind of why I waited so long, because I started Zepbound in April and didn't have my first DEXA scan until July. And I actually didn't really know about DEXA scans. Candace with the T on GLP-1 is the first person that I heard talking about it. And then I started to hear other people talk about it. So anyway, my total mass, again, is just my weight. If we go on to look at the fat tissue, so this is literally how many pounds of fat comes out of that 202.3. And it says currently I have 84 pounds of fat on my body, which means I have lost a total of 18. Sorry, let me rewind. I've lost 18.7 pounds if you just subtract my total mass here, but my fat loss is actually 23.5 pounds. So I've lost 23.5 pounds from the 107.5 that I was at the end of July. So what does that mean? What that means is I have actually gained muscle. So I had 106.8 pounds of muscle when I did the first scan. And as of last Friday, I am now at 111.6 pounds of muscle, which means that I have gained 4.8 pounds of muscle despite losing weight. So I want to point out here that when you are exercising and trying to lose weight or reduce pounds, adopting some new verbiage that I picked up from some other creators here, when you are reducing pounds, you and working out, especially doing strength training, and even if you're just doing body weight and you're making your muscles stronger and you're getting your protein in, that the scale is not always going to show how much fat you have reduced from your body. So this is a good, basically proof in the pudding, because, I get frustrated, certain weeks where I go up or I stay the same, and I notice that, my clothes are fitting me different and things like that. Well, this is the proof of why that's happening. It's because, the muscle is growing and taking up that space. So while I lost 23.5 pounds of fat, the scale doesn't reflect that. Moving on, the bone mineral content is basically the same. It looks like it went down 0.1, but that's negligible and really doesn't matter. The RIMPO scale on these three metrics, it has my fat pounds at 80.8 pounds. So it's off by about 4 pounds, has me 4 pounds lighter. And my muscle mass, the RIMPO scale actually has me at exactly the same, 111.6. So that's right on. And the bone, it has me at 7.2. So I'm guessing that it's, maybe not so keen on pinpointing the what's bone and fat, but it's pretty on point with the muscle, and even, just off slightly with those two metrics. So if we move on to my fat-free pounds, 118.3 is currently basically the lean tissue plus the bone mineral content or BMC. I'm just going to say BMC because I cannot for the life of me remember that BMC, even though it's like right here. So that is actually an increase in fat-free body weight of 4.9 pounds. And my Renfo scale measures me at 118.8 of fat-free body mass. So there's that. I'm just going to go through the rest of the report just in case you're curious as to, this is just the history showing the comparison. I've only had 2, so it's not going to be much of a good estimate, but this just kind of sums up what we just talked about. Now, this is the regional body composition analysis. So it looks at different parts of your body, arms, legs, trunk, android, gynoid, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But it basically says the regional body composition report shows the 5 key regions of your body and the analysis for each region. So currently it's basically saying that it breaks down that 202.3 pounds as to where all that weight is. The interesting one for me is looking at the fat percentage and knowing that, the biggest, the gynoid area, and that is like your, I'll explain it as I'll just scroll down and explain what it is. But where is that? Okay, so the gynoid fat is concentrated in the hips, upper thighs, and the buttocks. So, and that's the place that I kind of, you cannot target lose. You can't do, you can do certain exercises to build certain muscles, but where the fat comes off is not up to you. And there isn't any way that you can target, where you lose the fat. And the gynoid region is like my biggest pain point personally, where my thighs are. Not so much the butt and the hips, but my thighs. I'm telling y'all, thick thighs save lives, but I'm wanting them to be, quite a bit thicker. Or quite a bit thinner at this point, at this stage. But 47.5% of my fat lies in the gynoid, or sorry, I said that wrong. If we're encompassing the whole gynoid region is 100%, 47.5% of that is fat. The android region is like your belly area, and where that visceral fat lies, that's 39.4% fat. So that's pretty low, pretty good. And the trunk area is a little bit higher than the belly. And then of course your legs and your arms, you don't need explanation on that. But basically this is telling me, this is the pound distribution of the fat-free pounds, the fat tissue. So I have essentially 15.8 pounds of fat in my hips, thighs, and butt, 5.2 in the android region, 35.6 in the trunk region, and 38.9 in my legs, and 7.4 in my arms. All right. So this is the visceral fat, and this is really kind of the bad fat, so to speak, that is, it gives a little explanation here as to, it breaks it down actually into, let me move myself out of the way. It breaks it down into actual pounds and also volume. And so as far as the pounds, I was super excited when I got the last one because it showed that I had less than 1 pound of visceral fat, which is really healthy. And then now, 4.5 months later, that has, dropped almost 2/3. So I at 0.36 pounds of visceral fat, which is super low, really good. The guy that did my scan said that he would not be surprised if that didn't half again to get down to like 1.5 if I kept up my same routine. Now in the volume, it's 26.38 cubic inches was what it reported previously, and 10.67 cubic inches is what it is currently. And you can use the volume in cubic inches to determine, your range of what's considered ideally healthy, increased risk, at risk, very high. So I'm in this range because I'm at 10.67, which is, in the ideal healthy range. And it actually shows this pink one here is what visceral fat is, or where it resides. So that is that dangerous belly fat that everyone's always trying to get rid of to move on. All right, and I'm just going to wrap this up. So this is talking about the android versus the gynoid and the ratio of them. So android fat is concentrated in the lower abdomen region, so kind of where that apron belly resides. And then the gynoid fat is concentrated in the hips, thighs, and buttocks. So all around the backside. And you can see here my android fat percentage has dropped. I didn't do the math here, but 52.2 to 39.4. So that's 12.8% reduction in my android fat. And then 55 is where I was with gynoid, and I'm now at 47.5, which is a 7.5% reduction there. So for optimal distribution, it says that the android fat should be less than your total body fat, which it is, because my total body fat is 41.5 and android is 39.4. It also says that your AG ratio, so android over gynoid, should be less than 1, which it is at 0.82. And it's getting lower because I was at 0.94 last time. So that just basically means that I'm healthy. Now, the total bone density is, I'm not going to really, spend too much time on that because that's not what we're here for. But this is a measurement. It's not the same, or it's basically saying it's not the same as a DEXA bone density scan, which you might have, at your physician to determine if you have osteoporosis. I don't really have any bone or joint issues, so I'm just going to kind of skip past that because that doesn't really, we're taking up some time here. But this is the muscle mass balance analysis. And so, what's exciting about this is it basically breaks down the body parts, and it shows that my arms have increased in lean muscle mass. So that means all of those, I'll try to do my like superwoman pose here, but I have visibly noticed the difference in my arms. And this is just documentation that I've gone from 50.6% lean to 54.2% lean on my arms in total, and reduced the fat in my arms from 44.6 down to 41.4. So I'm very happy about that. This actually breaks down the differences here. And in my legs, they've gotten smaller, clearly not enough. So like this again is the lean percentage, 3.4% was where I was in July, and I'm now at 0.4% lean. So I guess this is telling me that I have lost. No, that's not what this is telling me. It's telling me that my lean mass is lower, but it's because of pounds being lost. So yes, I guess there has been some muscle loss in the legs. So I'm, this lets me know that I need to get more leg days in. But it does say that my total, like my pounds of my legs, and I have noticed that because I bought a cheap knockoff version of Thighmaster by Suzanne Summers. And I haven't used it yet. I've had it like 2 or 3 weeks, but this was even before I did the scan. And because I noticed extra skin in my thigh area. So squats, more of them. I'm gonna, shift over to doing some leg work on the machines, and we'll see if we can go from there. So yeah. And then this is kind of like the final report here, and it shows my image from before and my current image. And so like the orange is like lean, and this is the first one, and they still both look horrific when you're looking at it this way. But the orange is the lean muscle and the yellow is the fatty tissue. And so you can see, it's a little bit darker on the new scan, and overall it's looking a little smaller. And this just kind of summarizes everything and shows a comparison of, how the stats ended up. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. If you have any questions about DEXA scans, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see my face a little bit better. You should be able to see my face now. And I just wanted to, again, thank you all for watching to the end. And like I said, leave comments below if you have any questions about DEXA scans or, things like that. I'm not an expert. I just know, what my experience has been. And I will be back soon with another update. I do have 2 other videos on week 33 and week 34 that are already recorded. They just need to be uploaded, but I wanted to get this in because this happened in the midst of that. And I know Simply Taisha was asking for this episode. So I wanted to hurry up and get that up for you. I hope you all have a great, fantastic week, and may grace and peace be yours in abundance. Do not forget to heal thy spirit for a healthy spirit. Take care.